Shana Tova. I'm Rabbi Sarah Tasman, Director of Congregational Learning at Temple Rodef Shalom. On this Yom Kippur afternoon, I want to offer a reflection and teaching on forgiveness. I'll begin with a poem called The Wait and the Whisper by Mike Sansone. I waited for words that never came, and I'm sorry hung silent in the air, the wound still fresh, the ache still loud, while they moved on, unaware. I held the grudge like armor worn, thinking pain gave power back, but it only grew more heavy still and kept me tethered to the lack. Closure seemed like a locked old door, an eye without a key. Just echoes of what should have been, and all they didn't see. But healing whispered something soft. Forgive. Not to excuse, but to free your heart from chains of hurt and choose what you won't lose. So I laid the weight beside the road and let the ache unbind, not for them, but to find peace that I deserve to find. This poem holds something essential about Yom Kippur and forgiveness. The weight, the ache, the silence, and then the whisper, the invitation to put down what you've been carrying and move toward peace. Growing up, I learned, as many of us did, that this is the season of forgiveness. We're supposed to ask for forgiveness and grant forgiveness. But if I'm honest, I don't remember being taught how to do that. I do remember in college, back when every dorm room had a real phone on the wall, and I picked up the phone and I dialed the number of a friend. When he picked up the phone, I said, "It's Yom Kippur. I'm calling to say that if I did anything to hurt you, I'm sorry." There was a pause, and then he laughed, almost a scoff, and he said, You're really doing this on Yom Kippur?" And I said, "Yes." And then he hung up. That moment has stayed with me. Why did he react that way? Maybe he thought forgiveness was only symbolic, something we say in synagogue, not something we actually do. Or maybe my apology felt too perfunctory, too general, not deep enough or specific enough for whatever it was that I had already done. And that's the truth. Asking for forgiveness is daunting. Giving forgiveness is daunting. And yet, this is the work of these days. Judaism actually gives us a whole vocabulary for forgiveness. And each of these different Hebrew words teaches us something slightly different. Teshuvah, which means to return, means returning to God, to our true selves, to one another. Maimonides, the 13th century rabbinic sage, taught that teshuvah involves 4 steps: regret, stopping the hurtful action, confessing, and resolving to change. Those are good steps, but easier said than done. The Hebrew word for pardon me, or pardon, is slicha. Slicha is used in everyday Hebrew, and it's the word we use for excuse me. It's also the word in plural, slichot, that are a key part of our preparatory prayers leading up to Rosh Hashanah. The word slicha reminds us that forgiveness can sometimes be ordinary and necessary as we make space and say excuse me to one another. The Hebrew word mechila means wiping away. It's when a person freely lets go of their anger. It doesn't mean the harm never happened, but it means the relationship can finally breathe again. And finally, the Hebrew word kapara, atonement, a cleansing. Yom Kippur, this day is the deepest invitation to cleansing, to release, to renewal. Even with these rich teachings, forgiveness can still feel daunting and impossible, which is why I love how the poet David White puts it. He says, forgiveness is a heartache and difficult to achieve. To approach forgiveness is to close in on the nature of the hurt itself, perhaps the wounded part of us that can never fully heal. But forgiveness may come from a deeper, larger self, an act of compassion that shapes the future we want for ourselves. And isn't that what today is all about? About tapping into something bigger than ourselves, shaping a future that we want for ourselves, our relationships, our community, and for our world. In my own training as a rabbi and premarital counselor and a premarital coach, I learned that forgiveness is not a vague concept, but a practice that we can break down into manageable steps. In order to seek forgiveness, we first must admit what we did wrong, then try to understand the pain we've caused. We then need to take responsibility and, if possible, make restitution. We then must assure the other person that we will not do it again. Then we apologize and ask for forgiveness. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, we can then forgive ourselves. And when we are asked to forgive, we too have steps we can take. We acknowledge our own pain. We name what we need going forward. We try to let go of a feeling of vengeance. We release blame. We communicate when we're ready to forgive. And when it is safe, we work toward reconciliation. None of this is easy. None of it is quick. But it is holy work. And so as we sit here together on this sacred day, I want to invite you into a practice. Some of you may have seen the show, The Pit. In it, a Jewish doctor teaches a family the Ho'oponopono prayer, an ancient Hawaiian practice for healing. It's simple. Just 4 lines. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So I invite you now, right now, to think of someone. Might be a person you love, might be someone with whom you're in conflict, might be someone who passed away, might even be yourself. See their face in your mind's eye. You don't need to say anything out loud if you don't want to. You can whisper the words or just hold them in your heart. But let's try it together. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Again, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And one more time. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. In her 3 steps for forgiveness, Brené Brown describes the reckoning. When we recognize and we are curious about what we're feeling. The rumble, when we're honest about the assumptions we've made and what needs to change. And the revolution, when we write a new ending to our story based on what we've learned in the process. Friends, on this Yom Kippur, may we hear the whisper that invites us to put down the heavy weight. May we find the courage to ask for forgiveness and the strength to offer it. May we learn something new and start anew. May we turn, return, and keep returning toward each other, toward God, and to our truest selves. And may the year ahead be filled with healing, peace, and love. Shana Tova.